Way of 𝗲𝗟𝗡.
Guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Way of 𝗲𝗟𝗡 podcast. As always, we have a special guest, and I know I say that every time, but our guests are increasingly quite special, and that goes especially much for Simen Agdestein, who I'm once again not going to try to do the intro for. He is going to tell you about all the crazy things that he got up to and is up to in his life. But for all of us footballers and chess players, this is going to be an episode that I think you guys are really going to love. So, Simen, thanks for being here. How's it going?
Good.
Good.
I'm at my summer house just outside Oslo, and I enjoy Norway.
Enjoy Norway now, not in the winter? Like, you enjoy?
Actually, I enjoy Norway most of the time. I like the change of the climate, so I'm fine here. I used to like traveling around more before, actually.
Yeah, you don't dodge the summer. You're not like one of those Scandinavian people who runs away as soon as it becomes September.
Not. It's much too hot. I know people go to Greece and so on. I wonder why, because it's so nice here.
I love it. I love Scandinavia. I've spent most of my career in Scandinavia, as I've said,
Right.
in Denmark and in Finland. I was very, very far north when we were in Finland. It was snowing in June. Right now, it's probably snowing in Rovaniemi. you know.
Yeah.
But so I don't know where to start, but I guess we should go back to the beginning. You were a professional footballer, national team player, and at the same time, you were also a professional chess player. How did that happen?
More or less professional. As professional football wasn't really started. I played in Norway, and I got paid after I came on the national team. So I actually played in the second highest league when I came on the national league, on the national team, which was quite a surprise. I was on the national junior team and so on. So I probably was talented or before, but I have had no idea that I would actually come on the national team, the A team. It happened. It was a short and interesting experience. It lasted only a year or so because I got injured too early.
That is, one way I want to definitely run through the interview and dealing with injuries. And, you know, you're speaking to a whole group of guys who are between the ages of, you know, as young as 13 and up to in their early 40s are the guys that are, you know, fans of the channel and trying to become better footballers, better people, just learning and stuff. And someone who's had your experiences, I think is it's important for them to hear. So how did you transition? How did that happen? I'm not even sure what injury you had, and how did you deal with that to continue to have success? Because that's something
I didn't really continue to have success, actually. It was kind of before and after the injury. Before the injury, it was a knee injury, cruciate ligament, and the complications, lots of complications. So it took me it took me out of everything. My intention when I finished school was actually to become a chess player. I managed to keep on playing maybe a year or so. And at my peak, I was number 16 in the world. And then I just realized it was a quite lonely life, actually. It was very lonesome. So I wanted to study and live a normal life, and then I kind of returned to football. And it was that same year that I actually came on the national team. And then that happened, everything changed dramatically. I got paid, all the clubs wanted me, I got offers. It was just stressful. It was so fun to play football until I came on the national team, I would say. Actually, it was quite fun for a little while. But if I had more experience, or if I could have continued my career, which I certainly would have done in football, I probably would have got used to all the pressure and all that. Because
how did you deal with it then, just in general?
At that time, I don't think I dealt with it very well. But I wasn't quite happy with my trainers, I must say, because I was young, and it's extremely important to have good trainers and people around you, I think. I I had Egil Olsen. He was the national coach of Norway just a couple of years after. He brought Norway to the World Championship in the US and into France 4 years later. So if I hadn't been injured, I might have experienced that fantastic successes. But so it's quite. You have to be quite lucky actually to have a long career, especially in football, when the chance of getting injured is so high.
Yeah, it's competitive. I mean, as all the guys that are listening, we make videos about how it is to go pro, and there's so much more that happens behind the scenes once you become a pro. Like, for instance, with the stress, with the pressure, dealing with networking, dealing with coaches who want you and directors that don't want you, and there's a whole nother thing that goes on apart from just are you good? Are you good is just gets you in the door. After that, there's a whole lot of other things that most people don't know anything about. But so with the pressure, I mean, the pressure of both of those things to play at such a high level, though, is incredible. What was your training like? What did that?
I wasn't very serious, I must say, in neither of the sports, but I was totally into chess. I was thinking chess and played chess since I got stuck on it, or kind of when I was 11 or 12. Then my mind was focused on chess kind of all the time, and I kind of just played soccer just for fun. It was a surprise when I came on the national under-17 team of Norway, and but there were good people around me. I think that was the key success factor at that time. And then bad people came around me, sort of.
Well, that's a good. Sorry, no, I was just going to say that's a good lesson to be aware of. I mean, your environment dictates a whole lot. If you're not willing to change your environment or to change the people around you, you sometimes head down that path, right? So
I was much too young. I was only when you're in your early 20s, or at least I was very immature at that time. So I wish I had more experienced, or had someone with more experience around me. I should have had an agent. I didn't even have an agent.
Oh wow! You didn't even need it. I mean, well, it's a funny thing, right? I mean, usually to get to the place where you were in the national team, you almost always have an agent that helps get you there. It's amazing that you didn't.
Yeah, my plan was actually to quit playing soccer, and I wanted to play for my old club just for fun when in between the chess tournaments. And then I got quite surprised because my club wanted $10,000 for me,
Yeah.
which was, what? Do you want money for me? And then I got angry and I said, okay, then I can continue. I can continue playing soccer. I kind of
Sure.
agreed on, but then I don't want any fuss like that. If you, I should go free to any club
Right.
after anytime
Right.
I want. And that same year, I came on the national team, and I had offers from all the biggest clubs in Norway and even from Turkey.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I definitely needed an agent at that
Yeah. Of
time.
course. Right. Right.
It wasn't all about money, which I hadn't cared about at all. I just played soccer for fun. Then I became good, and it was fun.
So, do you think that that's what essentially was part of the reason the pressure got to you? In a sense, is because you just played for fun, and when you just play for fun, most of the time, you do your best. When you're not thinking.
Unless you're very experienced and manage to handle all those things, but it takes some time, I think, to handle all that kind of pressure. You suddenly become famous, and
Yeah, you're in the paper,
points, depending on how good people judging how good you play and such things.
How about then? So all the lessons you've learned, and I mean, was probably your first love in a certain sense. Then, yeah, chess was what you loved first as a kid
Uh,
before
yeah,
football.
I kind of I've grown up with chess, but
Mhm.
I come from a chess family. But I kind of stopped playing when I was 7. I played between 5 or 7 or something, and then I played nothing for about 4 years, and then I suddenly started again when I was 11. And then it all went very fast. I became the national champion of Norway when I was 15, and I came second in the European Junior Championship also when I was 15. And after that, I didn't take part in the European Junior Championships because it was kind of too weak. And I became a Grandmaster. I was the youngest in the world, the youngest Grandmaster in the world when I was 18. But it was different times. Now it's all the Grandmasters are younger, and 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 the Soviet Union, all the good players have come out there. And the internet, of course, has changed, and the computer has changed the whole sport. But with injury, I was totally out of everything for 1.5 years or something, and my chess career never got back after that one, after the injury.
It is fascinating to see, and I mean, my limited knowledge of chess, to see such youth now. You know, with I think someone just broke the record of Grandmaster, right, at 12, something
That's
like
true.
this.
They become younger and younger, and they often come from India and China, and the competition is enormous.
So how are they? And I mean, we're going to get to how you've applied some of the principles and logic and critical thinking, all that are necessary for chess, into your life. But how are they doing that? Like, for somebody, I mean, there's a lot of guys here that want to learn, and that's generally the theme of our podcast. Is essentially we try to find people like you who have done extraordinary things, see the mentality behind that. Well, how do you think, or how would you approach? I mean, we should probably mention that you also mentored, essentially coached, who is now the greatest chess player in the world,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So how did you approach that, and what makes him good? You know,
I think actually Magnus Carlsen, the world champion. I discovered him when I was 9, when he was 9, and we started train with him already then. And 10 years later, he was #1 in the world. So that was a fantastic journey. He was a grandmaster when he was 13, and he was a wonder boy with tremendous skills. So it was fantastic just to watch such a talent at close. But I think also for him, just playing, just having fun, no pressure. There were no goals of achieving, no goals of becoming a grandmaster or anything. It was just to focus on the game and try to master the game. And if you master the game fully, then you eventually become world champion. And that's actually what he said when he became world champion. What then? Some journalist asked, and then he said, "I still have a lot to learn." He wasn't even then. He wasn't focused on results, or even the world champion title. You just want to learn because you're curious, or something like that. Then you become very, very good at something. Then you think Magnus probably played chess at least 5 hours every day since he was 9 years old, and that's of course because he loved it. It wasn't because it wasn't. He didn't do that to achieve anything. He just loved playing chess, and that was the same for me. I loved what I did, and when all the other things affected it, it wasn't fun anymore, and then the results got worse too.
yeah. So it was. I mean, it was about your awareness. It was about enjoying the game, and so that's what you noticed in him. I mean, and I can definitely say the parallels in order to have a long football career. You know, with my father also playing for the national team. It wasn't because he sat me down and said, "You have to train, train, train." He didn't
Right.
do that at all.
No,
It was never. It was completely all fun.
Yeah.
All the time it was fun. And
Right.
then when he wasn't around, because I had so much fun playing with him, when he
Right.
wasn't around, all I did was play.
Right.
And so that's it. That was I caught the soccer bug. And just like, you know, you caught the chess bug, and Magnus had that, you know, in him. And that's what creates, you know, this advanced level, an ability to keep going. It is interesting though, because I mean, for instance, you obviously, I'm not sure if you saw, I didn't see it until very late, but there's a documentary called The Last Dance about Michael Jordan, I think.
Uh-huh.
And he obviously being the greatest basketball player. I know it's still debatable for some of the new generation, but he was incredibly competitive or is incredibly competitive. Everything has a result. Everything is about winning. And that is his approach. I mean, I'm aware that there are definite approaches to it, but did you find a balance, or do you see a balance between Magnus now in trying to got to defend the title, but I also love it, so I want to learn? Has he balanced those well, or how,
Actually, Magnus, you also need that competitive thing, I think. And Magnus certainly has that. He wants to win everything, even if he plays Monopoly. He definitely wants to win. So I think maybe to become really the world champion, you kind of need that aspect too. In addition, so both things. But I don't think the discipline way. I don't know how it is, but you imagine the old Soviet school or Russian school or something, or maybe Chinese school. I don't know. I think it's global. I think even those, it's not only cultural. I think it's for everyone, as you say. No matter where you come from, that you have to love what you do to become very, very good.
Yeah, it's clearly the point, and I know it's hard to stress for some guys, because I think when we see a lot of the questions and comments that come in, they see the stars now, and I mean, you're aware of what it's like on social media. English Premier League spends all their money on advertising. They blast on these face, and kids want to play here, or they want to go to Juventus, or they want to play for Real Madrid, and so much of the focus for a lot of these guys is on getting to there. It's a status symbol. It's a thing. And I saw a quote, or maybe even a video from 𝗪𝗛𝗟𝗡, and I had the chance to play against him and then talk to him after the game when he was playing at AC Milan. We played against them with Chicago Fire. And I saw just recently, he was speaking about how he was annoyed at the goal of a lot of the young players, which was simply to be a star rather than to be good at the game. And he said, it'll take care of it. I mean, he's a world star. I mean, there's no doubt about that. The guy played for Real Madrid and Champions League, but he took care of it by taking care of the game, by loving the game. And he still stays fit now. I mean, you can see videos of the guy training. He's not playing, but he's still training and fit. And I think it's a testament to loving the game. So
exactly.
For you, yeah.
I agree totally. So it's interesting that you say that, because everyone, that's the clue. and good parents with good genes.
Sure. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And lot of luck, actually, because you don't really control who you meet, don't control who becomes your trainer.
Sure.
And the trainer really can destroy you. This is my experience.
How much then of the positive mindset and setting yourself up for it do you account or attribute to, I mean, you're obviously still teaching chess and still doing this. How do you approach these guys and girls, obviously, to become better? And I'm clear for sure you try to teach them more than just chess. You're teaching them about discipline and life and et cetera.
Well, it's the same. We just meet and we just do something. It's not a very set program or anything, but we certainly have fun. That's for sure. So, and I have 15 youngsters between 16 and 18 in my group, and when I collect them there, make them move, they move from home, and then kind of half the job is done. Is my perspective, because they have to do the job themselves. But when they get together and we go on tours and so on, we have so much fun, and then hopefully there will come some talents out of it. And there has. It's not only Magnus Carlsen. We had the world junior champion. 𝗪𝗛𝗟𝗡 became world junior champion. That was fantastic. So he was also my student. So there are many things you can do, but you have to love it, and the social aspect is extremely important. Extremely important, actually.
When you say social aspect, what do you mean specifically?
Having friends, having someone to play with. Magnus, when he was 15 and so on, he went to the super tournaments. The other grandmasters had the world stars, had the super grandmasters as seconds. Magnus just brought a friend, a weak chess player, but someone he could play with. Because he had the chess himself, he just wanted to have someone to play with. That aspect is very, very important. But still, Magnus did train chess at least 5 hours every day. So you can. It also takes a lot of time. It must be said that it takes hours every day.
I mean, yeah, there's obviously that that trope that's out there. Of course, the 10,000 hour rule, and it's a good thing to be out there because I think it gets people focused. I think obviously when people get a little bit too focused on the amount of hours that they try and put in, they once again lose that fun aspect. They lose the point of it, and it's also about the quality of the time that you spend training. Right? I mean, if you spend 5 hours just moving a pawn from one square
Yeah,
to another, you've done nothing, right? And I think the same thing can be said about football, which is something that I stress. A lot of guys, when they go out to train, they might just go out and walk around and just kind of kick the ball and take some shots, right? That's the most fun thing to do, is take a couple shots. You don't want to run. You don't want to work on your speed. You don't want to work on your strength. So it's the quality of training that is so important. And it goes back to environment, I think, because I noticed when I made the first U14 national team, I was on the best team in my state already in Kansas. But we took a selection of players, the best national team players, and we were actually, I think, the very first U14 national team. We went to Mexico to play against Mexican clubs, and and they were tremendous. They were just unbelievable, very high level. By the time I came back, it wasn't. It was just a couple of weeks, maybe. By the time I came back, my level between the team and a bunch of players who were very good for the state, a few million people, was so high. It was I jumped forward orders of magnitude higher than everybody, just because I've been training with people who were also the best in there. And so it's definitely something to stress. And I always get annoyed on YouTube because anybody can make a video and anybody can say, this is how you should train and this is how you should do it. And I think it's very important for people to understand you want to have good trainers that want you to have fun, that can teach you and show you the proper way to win and be better. So in any case, though, I would love to know, of all the principles of chess and all the things that you've learned, and from just speaking to you this couple times that we've spoken, you live a very relaxed life. I get the sense that you have a very nice, calm way of approaching, even if you might have trouble. So how have you taken all the things you've learned from chess and continue to learn from chess to your life? Like, if you could squeeze it into somebody who doesn't know chess well.
Yeah, there are lots of things. I think Gary Kasparov wrote a book either called "What You Can Learn from Chess," what chess can teach you in life, or the other way. I'm not sure. I don't remember.
I've read it.
Have you read it?
I've read it. It's good. Yeah.
At least you have to take care of your pieces, your friends. You have to be materialistic in that way. You can sacrifice friends, your pieces. Modern chess, the old way you play chess, then you kind of made a plan and you followed the plan and you won the game. That was the kind of the Karpov era when Anatoly Karpov was world champion from 75 to 85 approximately. He was very classical, but now everything is more dynamic. The situations changes all the time, so we have to change your plans all the time too, and that's perhaps similar to life. Everything changes all the time, so we have to change and adjust all the time to circumstances. So I sometimes think think in that way actually, also in life.
I've found that to be true. It's very rare that I think plans help, right? As I get older, I think it's very important to be orderly and organized. And I think for the amount of things that I do, right? But how many times does a plan go exactly like you say?
Yeah,
It's
change all the time.
change all the time.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. A plus B plus C. No, it's normally A happens, then Z happens. So figure it out, and then you can go on to B. And especially in the world we live in now, with all the distraction and all the phone. And
but the focus on process, that's kind of not results on process. If you're having fun, it's kind of worth it, whatever you do, even if it doesn't exactly lead to the point you intended to put it that way. But it must be fun on the way. At least that's what I think. But it's a bit of luxury thinking, actually. I'm coming from Norway and the social system. I don't fall out or anything if I fail. So that, I guess, is a quite important factor to mention here, because lots of people doesn't really have the luxury to fail. I guess, I don't know, but um, at least now when I'm getting old and so on, and I've got kids and they're grown up and all that, so I'm kind of relaxed. It doesn't matter so much, but there is a hard competition out there, I'm sure, in all kinds of fields. So and probably much harder now than it was before, when all the Russian was locked locked in, and the
Yeah.
Chinese didn't exist, and the Indians didn't exist. There were no chess players from India before either, but now, yeah,
Wow.
so much harder now. So the competition is harder. So I'm not sure what's. I think it's a quite big risk, actually, to put all your efforts into just one thing. It's a general topic for, if you, for instance, 20. We have a couple of Norwegians now. Shall you spend your next 10 years trying to become to get into the world elite in chess, uh, or not, or play it safe, take an education or something? Um, Arian Tarin, for instance, the world junior champion, he's played professional for 3 years now, but he's sacrificing something, sacrificing his education and so on. So I think that's the same topic for all, for lots of sports. Perhaps not soccer, because you get so well paid there, but in all kinds of sports where you don't get paid.
Exactly. I mean, I can only speak from experience. For me, school was it was a hassle, and I mean, I don't mean my youth schooling. I mean it at a university level. It was something that was holding me back. I left school after a year and a half. I think if we would have pushed more, I would not have had to even go to college at all. And it's not that I have no interest in education and things like that. I spend almost all of my time outside of training on learning, but I have a love of learning that's been passed down, for my parents. So it is interesting to see. I think the world is changing. I think, given what we have access to, like you back when you were playing, probably, I don't know how easy it would have been for you to just pull up a computer and start playing chess, if that was even possible for you when you were in your prime playing years, in your early 20s. Was that the case?
There were no computers. The computers didn't exist. Internet didn't
So,
exist.
yeah.
We bought a suitcase of chess books to every tournament. One suitcase for clothes and one for chess books. And
Right.
it was
Yeah.
wonderful. We just sat down and started fighting
Mhm.
without much preparation and so on.
Sure. It's changed. It's changed the way that the world is educated. I mean, this 12-year-old who's probably a chess champion, also, just like everyone else, has the answers to most of what humans have figured out is in their pocket, right? In your phone, you hold almost the answer to everything that humans have ever figured out. And so that changes what I feel about education. So when I see, myself leaving to go pro at 19, having a contract that allowed me to have my schooling paid for, but school was just a hassle for me. It was just a hassle because I had to study what you said I have to study. And I don't want to study what you said. I want to study what I think is fun and interesting. And then I have to figure out a way to make, a living around that. And I think that's how I've approached it. And I think as we continue to go, I think more and more kids are going to learn that they can get an education through a different means. I don't think, just like you find people meeting the man or woman that they marry online. That was ridiculous a thought, right? Even in the 90s, that was just like, how could you meet some stranger? That's normal. It's almost normal now. I think everybody meets and so I think in education is going to go the same way. I think that, given that you can listen to conversations like this, learn from somebody who's had experiences like yours, take the best information out of it, and then go to the next guy and the next guy. I think Magnus has a YouTube channel. I think even it's pretty big. You could probably learn from him. It just seems the whole standard educational process is probably going to change. That's my guess.
Yeah. And I don't remember anything. I have a long education. I don't remember anything of those years. But sometimes you need the grade to, for instance, become a teacher or something.
That's for sure. For a doctor, yeah, you can't just practice on your friend, a little surgery.
But there are ways to pass those exams. I've experienced lately. I'm trying to take up some things actually recently. I don't really learn very much, but I pass the exams and I get the necessary things to teach. I'm a history teacher, for instance, and then I need to have a certain study points and so on.
Does your history focus mainly on Norwegian history, or is it
Oh
general
no,
world history?
that's a very little part of it. But
What's your focus?
well, it's kind of Euro ethnic, ethnocentric, or whatever you call it, to Europe. But I love all kinds. I'm interested in all kinds of history. I actually majored in political science. Then I focused on Southern Africa, not South Africa, but Southern Africa. So I traveled a bit around there and so on. So I actually wrote a thesis on the Biafra War. If I heard you.
Which war?
The Biafra War, isn't that what you call it?
I don't know.
In Nigeria, in the 1970s.
I didn't know the name. The Civil War, the one that was supposedly stopped when Pele came into the country. My dad was playing at that time.
In Norway, they call it Biafra. I thought that was a place in Nigeria or something, but it's in the 70s, early 70s, if I remember right.
Yeah.
And I spent half a year on that one, or I wrote my main thesis after half a year of study on that one. So I'm interested in kind of everything, in Chinese history, Cuban history, whatever. Actually, I'm curious. I'm just curious. It's the same thing. I'm just curious.
Yeah. As am I. I mean, there's a part of history that I haven't yet. I like ancient Egyptian history is fascinating to me. Obviously, pre-colonial Africa is very interesting because growing up in the U.S., you don't hear anything about it. The first time you hear about Africa is going to be through slave trade and the civil rights movement, but you don't hear anything about what was going on in Africa before colonial times. And so I find that interesting. Rome, I would love to know so much more about Rome. I learned Italian without ever setting foot in Italy. I just have a love for the country and the language. So
yeah, I think Mali was very big. I think one of the biggest explorers, all Christopher Columbus, but among if you look at who's the biggest explorer in the world, you may find I think there's a guy from Mali or something around 300 after Christ. Is ranked among the
rich guy
explorers in the world, huh?
That rich guy, you're talking about the king that was the rich that traveled across.
Explorer.
Okay.
I don't remember his name because it's hard to remember. But but certainly there are lots of things happened there. Of course, I know that was a topic also in Zimbabwe. The Great Zimbabwe. There's some ruins from around 1400 or something. Shows there was a civilization there long before the white came.
Yeah.
And that's political because the whites want to think that there was nothing there when no civilization there. But there are proof of that.
Yeah, and that's one of the interesting things. I don't know if you've ever heard of Graham Hancock. It's somebody who I think I'd love to get on.
Yeah, what was that again? I think I heard of.
He's a researcher. He's a journalist, I think, by trade, but he's probably best to be called a historian at this point. He's part of the people that helped. He didn't discover this, but he helped not expose, but popularize what happened in 𝗪𝗪𝗟𝗪 in Turkey, where they found a settlement that is not supposed to exist according to mainstream. It's 10,000 BC, roughly, somewhere between 7 and 10,000 BC in Turkey, and it clearly shows that the mainstream states that they were not settlers. They were hunters and gatherers, that they were just tribes running around. They couldn't possibly have formed cities and understood. But we dug up this place in Turkey and they dated it and there's a massive city that was intentionally covered up and deserted, which of course we don't know. And you've got the Diluvian period, that time with the flood. And so it kind of matches up there, but nobody knows what happened. But what they are sure of is that there's a civilization that existed when we said that it wasn't supposed to exist. He kind of just has his whole entire thesis running around trying to say, I think we need to reevaluate maybe what happened. So I find that stuff very interesting as well.
Yeah, and what irritates me is that we are so ethnocentric. We learn nothing about even Russia. I teach my students about Russia because it's our neighbor country, but it is nothing about Russian history in our history books, and certainly nothing on the Islamic developments and so on. But those who get me as a teacher have no choice; they have to learn about those things too.
Yeah, and you've traveled. You said you traveled, by the way. I just throw this in there before we close. Have you been in every continent as a historian?
I traveled before, but now I'm kind of much more lazy. I'm kind of done. I'm kind of seen the world now. I don't really need to travel so much any longer. But I still travel a bit. I go with my students. We try to make maybe 2 or 3 foreign trips with my group of 15 youngsters. And then we often I try to go to interesting places that has something special, places I haven't been to before. I brought my students to South Africa. Actually, I brought the whole group there twice even, and we got South Africans back to us in Norway and so on.
Okay, so you made a trade. You mean like so you went there and some people came over to Norway?
They paid for us when we were there, and we paid for them
Nice.
when they were here. But the problem is that it's much more expensive in Norway than it's down here.
That's so true. It's so expensive.
But a lot of fun. And the thing is that lots of those fun things doesn't really cost money either. We stayed at private homes when we went to South Africa. It was a fantastic experience.
Yeah. I can remember those as well. We would do, and even just within the U.S., but I can remember how nice it was. And even I went to England. I stayed with one of my friends' place, and it's like you kind of remember that feeling of home that you get when you meet and travel around and have other people. I think travel is definitely one of the things that's changed. I think I've been to somewhere in the 60s or so. I need to count, maybe 60, 70 countries. I haven't taken the time, but that's definitely been one of the things that's changed my entire life, from languages to people, friends, having friends all over the world. There's nothing better, I don't think, than knowing you touch down in a country, you can call somebody and he can call somebody, and then there you go. Before you know it, you got a whole bunch of friends.
In that aspect, chess is wonderful. There are chess tournaments all over the world. You can actually go anywhere almost and play a tournament and socialize with people.
Which is a perfect closer. Now, I haven't stated. Obviously, I played Grandmaster Ben Feingold in a joking. He's a comedian. Really, he might as well be a comedian chess guy. His stream and what he does, he's always telling jokes. But I like the way he clearly loves to have fun, and that's what drew me to him as well. And then when he mentioned you in the podcast, it made sense, with your background. So, I have no idea what I'm really going to try and do and have fun with chess. Like you said, I just enjoy it right now, but I would like to put some sort of, it'd be fun as a challenge, let's say. I have a competitive nature inside to me as well. And it's more or less with myself. I speak a whole lot of languages, and I didn't plan on, it wasn't to tell anyone or to do anything. It was just, that's what interests me. I want to challenge, can I do this? So I would love to do the same thing in chess. I don't know what number or where I'll start, but I will definitely, we'll let you know. I'm going to try and make some sort of decision. And then we'll make a go for it, and just kind of push.
Wonderful. And the odds are against you, but it's wonderful.
The odds are almost always against me basically in all the things that I do. So I think it would be strange. It'd be strange for me to do something if the odds were in my favor.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So, but okay, awesome. Listen, I guess you before we started filming, you said you didn't have anything that you wanted to necessarily promote or send traffic to. But is there anywhere if guys that are interested in learning more about you? You don't have a website, school?
We have lots of websites actually. I have a partner from Ukraine, and she's making. We have
Saw
about
that.
6 or 7 websites.
We saw that. We saw that there. Yeah. Yeah.
But well, the logo is here, NTG.
Okay.
That's
We'll
my
throw that
school.
up. Yeah.
It's my school in Norway, NTG.
What does it stand for?
Norwegian toppidrett, top sport gymnasium.
Okay.
Norway, T top gymnasium.
Okay.
So lots of sports. And I'm running the chess department there. That's what I've been doing the last 22 years.
Okay.
And it's
22 years, you said?
Yeah, it's kind of base camp for me. So I've been sitting there with youngsters for my whole adult life.
Right.
And
that's awesome.
Sometimes
and
I
it's in
find
Oslo?
it hard to be serious, actually, because I'm kind of injured by all those
all the kids. Yeah. It's in Oslo, though.
Yeah, just outside Oslo, yes.
Just outside Oslo. Okay. Well, that is the last of the Scandinavian countries, I think, or I guess technically Greenland is that Nordic? Does Greenland count as a Nordic country?
No one considers Greenland to be Greenland among the Nordic.
Okay.
Maybe it is actually, but I've never thought of it like that.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But
Iceland is a Nordic country.
Iceland. Okay. So
but
then,
if Greenland is it under Denmark still? I'm not sure.
Yeah, you've maybe offended. You've offended all of Greenland now. No. Yeah, I think they speak. Obviously, I think they speak Danish a bit as well. I remember we had a guy on my Danish club from there as well, and he's so. But so when we come to Oslo, we'll make sure that we come by, play chess.
Wonderful. Cool.
We'll make it happen. Yeah, we'll make it happen. I've wanted to come by there, so we'll see if we can do that and film some videos and play some chess. So,
cool.
Okay.
Good
luck.
Guys,
that is the podcast. Everything we talked about, we'll link some stuff below, as well as some of the other podcasts. And we will see you guys later.